All right, back to chapter 5, video number 13. We're going to carry on with the course list program. And what I've done is I've opened up my code, and you can see here I've organized it into a region, and my region is going to include 1, 2, 3 command buttons. So we've got 3 click event handlers, one for the add, one for the list, and one for the new file button. All right, now in this program, I want to also explain that if I was to ask you to enter some data in here and click on the add button and put it into the list box, we've really done that right here in the shopping list, right? When we were back up here, we type in here, click add, it adds it to the shopping list. So the real key behind this particular program is to capture the data and put it into a text file so that we can permanently store the data, and then we can do things later to it, like sort it, search it, organize the data as we need it, or come back to it at a later date. With this shopping list, once the program is stopped, of course this information is inside of a control and inside the temporary memory. So when we shut the program down, everything is cleaned out. It's no longer existing. So with this program here, we're taking the input and we're storing it to a permanent storage device, in this case a text file. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Now, in this example, because we're stepping outside of really the program itself and creating a separate file, we're going to be needing access to classes that require the ability to input and output data to that from that file. So we have to add in our using directives at the top of our program something called the input-output. All right, so this is a using directive here called the system, and then within the system container, the namespace, we're going to look at something here called the input and output. Now inside of input output, we have a lot of classes that we're going to use that deal with sending information in and out, or input and output, from our program. So we're going to have to add that. If you don't add that, it's going to cause a problem. So what I'm going to do is kind of go through that explanation, and I'll just kind of jump right in here. There's one here called, there's a class called the stream writer. It's a way of declaring an object that we're going to be needing. And if, for example, at the top here, if I was to take that out, if I was to take out the system input output here, you'll notice what happens is that all of those members of the IO namespace in here are no longer available because I've just commented that out. So when I write the program, it'll cause all sorts of problems. And you'll notice my debugger here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 errors because of that, because there's 4 particular members of this IO namespace that we're going to need. Now if I take that off, now Visual Studio has access to all of those using directives in that namespace, and which is one of them is called the stream writer. All right, so I want to kind of explain that we have to have this, otherwise we are not going to be able to input and output data into a text file. All right, so in the next example here, let's have a little quick walkthrough of how this is going to work. And I think we'll get started by just kind of explaining stream writer. So stream writer is this this class of being able to set up like a variable, I guess you might consider it. Like we went in and did like a string and then we gave it a name for a variable. We're going to create an instance of this output file object by calling it a stream writer output file. So this sort of creates a variable called output, and this is going to be an object that we're going to be using to place the input into while we write the information to a file. And that's how it's going to work. So this is how it gets started off here, is we're going to create that instance of that variable here by using the stream writer. So it kind of follows in the same thing where we have to declare it, and then we'll get into the assignment in the next video.